Welcome back to the Broadman Word, and we are continuing on with the life of Joseph, and especially with the bringing of the family to Egypt. So a lot of Genesis chapter 46 is just the breakdown of the family. And so we're going to look at that today, and then the reunion of Joseph and Jacob on Thursday next week. Sorry, because today is Thursday, of course. So next week we'll look at that reunion. But I do want to see and break down the family as they are going towards Egypt. But it's also interesting because God speaks. And yes, God is working through the life of Joseph behind the scenes, but we don't really see a lot of dialogue from the Lord in this life of Joseph section. So, with that, turn to Genesis chapter 46, verse 1. We're going to go through verses 20, for verse 1 through verse 27. But again, a lot of family background, so hopefully it won't take that long. So, verse 1 of Genesis 46. So Israel took his journey. Again, Israel, another name for Jacob, with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you into a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again, and Joseph's hand shall close your eyes. So you have this first kind of piece of dialogue from the Lord in the life of Joseph, and it is very much identical to the call of Samuel in First Samuel. So it's really, really interesting. So in that passage with Samuel, God calls out to him, Samuel, Samuel, and Samuel goes, Here I am. And so you see, again, you see this kind of fast forward to the time of Samuel, but it is this point where God is calling Jacob to trust him, to put his faith and his trust into Jacob, uproot his family from Canaan, and then go to Egypt, which at this time is a very big country and a very big power in the world at this time. But it's a foreign country, so who knows what's going to happen? And yet the Lord says, Look, I want you to trust me. I want you to not be afraid and to go down to Egypt. And then the Lord begins to characterize himself as the God of the patriarchs of Israel. Obviously, Jacob is one of them, but Isaac is one of them as well. So when he says in verse 3, I am God, the God of your father, which would be Isaac. But again, father could also mean relative, which would be Abraham as well, being the grandfather of Jacob. So he's already starting to use this as kind of a characteristic or a name for God, the God of the patriarchs of Israel. And so he says, Look, just as they trusted me, I want you to trust me as well. And not only that, but I will make you into a great nation is a callback to the life of Abraham in Genesis 15 with the covenant between God and Abraham. And the country of Israel, you could call it, even though it's just a family at this point, a big family, but a family at this point, has become very great. I mean, when you have 12 sons and they have children, and that could become a very, very big family indeed very quickly. And so I think that's incredibly interesting to see. Um, but yeah, he goes down to Egypt, and I love this last part um, of this vision from the Lord to Jacob that Joseph's hand shall close your eyes. So God is telling Jacob that Egypt will be the place that you will die, but your death will not be a time of mourning, for your son that you thought was dead will hold your hand at the end. What a beautiful testament to the Lord and his grace. And I know not everybody goes out in a peaceful manner. But just knowing that we have the Lord holding our hand right as we go is a comfort. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's no pain involved at the end when there is death, but knowing that you and I, as followers of Jesus, are being embraced by the Lord as we leave this earth and this life and go into the next. That is a beautiful picture to see. So I love this vision and this dialogue um, between the Lord and Jacob. I love that. And really, it's more like a monologue, isn't it? Even though Jacob does say, "Here I am." So with that, he sets off. Verse 5. Then Jacob set out from Beersheba. The sons of Israel carried Jacob, their father, their little ones and their wives in the wagons that Pharaoh had sent to carry him. They also took their livestock and their goods, which they had gained in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt. Jacob and all his offspring with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, all his offspring he brought with him into Egypt. And we're about to go into that family back breakdown. So, with that being said, though, it's just like Abraham did not hesitate when the Lord asked him to do something. Jacob does not hesitate either. Jacob is told to set out and to go to Egypt and put his trust in the Lord. And literally, the next verse says in verse 5, then Jacob set out from Beersheba. So it's cool to see that faith that his grandfather Abraham has when he hears from the Lord that has been passed down to Jacob, which is really, really cool to see. Now, the rest of this is just a family background, just gives you a glimpse into the amount of people that were involved that went to Egypt. And so this is more fascinating for it's more of a historical look, which is why I'm really excited about it. But it's quite interesting how big the family of Abraham, Isaac, and now Jacob has gotten. I mean, it's remarkable to see, and yet it will continue to get so big where in Exodus chapter 1, Pharaoh is going to start to basically get paranoid by the fact that this family has just sprouted and is just basically almost what's the right outnumbering the Egyptians. So, with that being said, verse 8. Now these are the names of the descendants of Israel who came into Egypt: Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanak, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. The sons of Simeon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman, which I think is really interesting there in verse 10, because later on you're going to see, especially as the Israelites are going back into Canaan, the Lord is going to say, "Look, I want you to not intermarry with the Canaanites because they will drive your soul, not just your mind, but your soul from me as the Lord." And so it's interesting that Simeon has a Canaanite for a wife, and yet obviously this is not being called out in this moment, but still interesting. Verse 11. The sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Judah, Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. So basically, those two sons of Judah, and Onan, did not make this trip. And so it was just Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. And the sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamul. The sons of Issachar, Tola, Puva, Yob, and Shimron. The sons of Zebulun, Sarad, Elon, and Jalil. These are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padan Aram, together with his daughter Dinah. Altogether, his sons and his daughters numbered 33. So again, remember there was two wives, Leah and then Rachel, but then I think there were two concubines as well, if I remember correctly. And I think we'll see that as we go along. Verse 16, the sons of Gad, Ziphion, Haggai, Shuni, Esbon, Eri, Aradi, and Areli. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beriah, with Sarah their sister. And the sons of Beriah, Heber and Malchiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 16 persons. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. And that should stand out to you and say, whoa, wait a second. All of the ones before had multiple sons, and then and their sons had multiple sons. So it should stick out to you that the wife of Jacob, Rachel, only had two sons. That should go, oh, that's right. And that's why he basically kind of favored her. But that gives you more context into the importance of Joseph and Benjamin throughout the life of Joseph, like we've been talking about. But yeah, but now we'll break down their sons. Verse 20. And to Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, the priest of On, bore to him. And sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Mupim, Hupim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob, 14 persons in all. So you have Joseph, again, who could have died. So the fact that he has two sons is a miracle in itself. But then you have Benjamin, and Benjamin has a bunch of sons. Like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sons to Joseph, or sorry, to Benjamin, sorry, and he's the youngest son. So I think that shows just the graciousness of the Lord, to be honest. Verse 23, the son of Dan, Hushim, the sons of Naphtali, Jaziel, Guni, Jezer, and Shillem. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to Rachel, his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 7 persons in all. All the persons belonging to Jacob who came into Egypt, who were his own descendants, not including Jacob's sons as wives, were 66 persons in all. And the sons of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were 2. All the persons of the house of Jacob who came into Egypt were 70. So you have this extremely big family, which, again, in the life of Abraham at the end of Sarah's life. So it was just Abraham, Sarah, and Isaac. 3. That's it. And now we have just this massive family, and they are only going to get bigger as they spend time in Egypt. But for me, I think just a lot of people say, what are the points? What's the point of genealogies? What is the point of genealogies? Well, the point of genealogies is to show you the mercy and the grace of the Lord. Again, you see with Jacob the fact that he was kind of a mischievous trickster at the beginning of his life, and yet at the end of his life, he is this patriarch of Israel that has all of these different sons. And you look at all of these different sons and then the grandsons from his 12 sons, you just go, my goodness, how gracious the Lord is, how merciful he is by creating this grand family from just a husband and a wife who left their family to go who knows where and to finally have a promised son. And then from that family of 3 comes you have Isaac and Rebekah and Jacob and Esau, and then from them comes this huge, massive family. And Cain's family, or not Cain's family, sorry, Esau's family was big too, but Jacob's family is massive. And so we'll see again later on, you will see later on in the book of Exodus how this massive family puts into motion the rise of Moses, who is, by the way, in the family of Levi. So, with that being said, we will see the reunion of Jacob and Joseph next week on Tuesday. I hope to see you then. Thanks.